Now on BNC Morning, it's Memorial Day weekend, and along with a lot of fun in the sun for some, a cloud also looms. That cloud, COVID-19.
Plus, the man who captured the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery is now behind bars, months after the initial incident.
And yesterday evening, we saw numerous tornado reports across Kansas into around Colorado, even some hail reports to the west of Dallas. And guess what? Thunderstorm chances today, most of those severe. I have those details coming up.
It is Memorial Day weekend, and for many of us, it's usually a time to gather and with friends and family for a little fun in the sun, but things are going to be a lot different this year. Good morning, I'm Laura McCoy.
And I'm Ariana Manise. COVID-19 is hanging around this Memorial Day, forcing us to rethink how we celebrate. Whether at the beach or cooking out in the backyard, there will be some changes. John Lawrence has the latest.
Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial start of summer. But this isn't going to be the typical holiday weekend.
Barbecues, if we're doing them, make sure that we're having the barbecues outdoors with as much space as we possibly can.
Health officials say to be cautious at cookouts.
Stay 6 feet away from anyone so you have the physical distancing.
That's become an issue in Roswell, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. Residents there say the Chattahoochee River is a spot where social distancing measures are being ignored.
You can't congregate that many people without having negative consequences to the area.
A Roswell spokesperson says city officials are addressing the issue and police are keeping watch. Perhaps the biggest change this holiday weekend is in the nation's capital. Annual Memorial Day ceremonies at National Park Service sites, including wreath layings, will be online or pre-recorded.
It wasn't a question of are we going to do something or aren't we going to do something. It was a matter of how can we still honor these fallen men and women while at the same time protecting our visitors and folks that might want to come out.
In 1966, Waterloo, New York was declared by Congress as Memorial Day birthplace. The holiday was originally created to honor the military who died during the Civil War.
A warning: as temperatures heat up, keeping hand sanitizer in your car could lead to disaster. Fire officials warn this could happen. Most hand sanitizers are alcohol-based, which makes them flammable. A fire could happen when direct sunlight causes a magnification of light through the bottle, causing it to catch fire.
The man who captured the video of Ahmaud Arbery's shooting is now behind bars. William Rodney Bryan was arrested on Thursday. This comes months after the February shooting and weeks after Gregory and Travis McMichael were arrested. Bryan was in a vehicle behind the McMichaels filming the incident with Arbery. He says he was not involved, but Gregory McMichael allegedly told police that Bryan tried to help them stop Arbery earlier. Bryan faces charges of felony murder and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. He's now booked into the same jail as the McMichaels.
The FBI has opened an investigation into the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. The Kentucky EMT was killed back in March after officers forced their way inside of her home. An FBI special agent says they will conduct a thorough investigation into what exactly happened. The Louisville Metro Police Department says it will now require all sworn-in officers to wear body cameras. Taylor was shot at least 8 times when 3 officers entered her apartment, reportedly serving a search warrant. The department says the men announced themselves and returned gunfire when Taylor's boyfriend shot at them. Her family, however, says officers didn't knock and should have called off the search because the person they were looking for was already in custody.
Texas authorities say the suspect in a shooting at a Corpus Christi Naval Air Station is being linked to a terrorist group. 20-year-old Adam Asali reportedly drove to an entrance at the naval station and shot a security forces member in the chest. He then drove through the gate, got out of his vehicle, and began shooting. He was then shot and killed by security. The guard was wearing a bulletproof vest, so her injuries were not life-threatening. A preliminary investigation finds the shooter identified as a U.S. resident originally born in Syria. He was likely a supporter of Saif Ali jihadist ideology.
More than 10,000 people are now living in shelters in central Michigan after 2 dams failed earlier this week, unleashing waist-deep floodwaters. Intense rain caused the nearly 100-year-old Edenville and Sanford dams to breach Tuesday, sending water crashing downstream. Parts of the city of Midland, Michigan is underwater. Businesses and homes now flooded. There's also concern about the possible spread of the coronavirus in the shelters there.
We have a very senior population here. So as a consequence, I was not going to become, for lack of a better word, a New York nursing home. We're not going to have that on my shift here. And so we are taking extra precautions.
As a precaution, everyone who enters the shelters will get their temperatures checked at the door. The surfaces are also consistently scrubbed down and the beds are cleaned. So far, no one has displayed any symptoms.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration now releasing its official 2020 hurricane forecast. It's expected to be above average. That means 6 to 10 hurricanes and 13 to 19 named storms. Arthur was our first named storm. The national weather experts, they're predicting there will be 3 to 6 major hurricanes, which are Category 3 or higher. If this year does end up being above average, it will be the 5th year in a row. Hurricane season begins June 1st and ends November 30th.
And we want those storms to veer back into the Atlantic. We don't want them to come toward the United States, and especially with COVID-19 going on, we don't want any major hurricanes moving toward the United States. There you go. Let's take a look right now what's happening with our tower cam on this TGIF, and a nice view there into the Crescent City. New Orleans experiencing a little bit of a partly cloudy and a muggy start. That's the view. Look toward downtown. This is the view from the Mississippi River, showing a very nice shot there. Meanwhile, temperatures this morning in New Orleans in the 70s. Meanwhile, the upper 50s or so in Chicago with some low clouds and even some patchy fog. Use those low beams when traveling. You're going to see a mostly cloudy day with temperatures really not moving all that much, right into the lower 60s. Let's take a look at what's happening. At least the view from Interstate 94. The tower cam is up, so you're experiencing that low cloud deck, but really not that much happening. Everyone taking it easy into Chicagoland, moving in from about Wisconsin, and really not that much happening on the radar scope. But notice off toward the east, some showers are making their way into Michigan, and you folks into around at least the Detroit area as well as Midland, Michigan don't need any more precipitation. So speaking of that, we're starting to see a low, meso low that's developing across portions of Kansas. Wichita picking up some heavy rainfall extending down Interstate 35, and we're going to travel down toward 30. And yes, folks in Texas are heading back to work, and you see a little bit some traffic building there, but it's going to be toward the west of Dallas. We're going to start to see those showers firing up, even though a little bit some showers are making their way to the south of Waco toward Temple and Killeen. And it's going to be in this bullseye zone, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. About 13 million people or so under this enhanced risk. Potential for some heavy rainfall and even some damaging winds. Isolated tornadoes. Stay weather aware. So we have the storms into Birmingham, New Orleans, Little Rock, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, extending up toward the Austin, San Antonio area. Then we have KC, Wichita, Omaha, Des Moines, and Fargo. A lot of real estate there. So the temperatures in Dodge City is at 56 degrees. Into KC, we're at 60, at least 58 in Minneapolis, and we're 59 in Chicago, 74 Dallas, and 77 into Austin. So the forecast, there go those thunderstorms firing up in the North Texas, southern Oklahoma, continuing to become an MCS or so. And we'll see those temperatures a little bit on the hot side into the 90s. Meanwhile, into the Midwestern states, there goes that low that'll be spinning with chances for rain up toward Omaha, and some of that stand down toward southern Michigan. High temperatures into the 70s and a few 80s. We'll always keep you updated on what's been happening with our weather situation with an enhanced risk into North Texas and southern Oklahoma on the blacknewschannel.com. So it was like a bad weather day like we saw yesterday with over 20 reports of tornadoes in Colorado and Kansas. It's that time of year, folks.
Wow. All right, thank you, Kevin.
Well, still to come this morning on BNC Morning, officials have suggested people wear masks in public since the coronavirus pandemic started, but there's been an increase in violence surrounding wearing them. We'll take a look at some of them.
And sad news for Victoria's Secret lovers, the latest business adjusting to the recent retail rough patch. We'll have those details and more when we return on BNC Morning.